rise and grind, folks. Guys, this is part 2 of, what is this, the heat pump repair video I went to yesterday. Guys, I got the electric heat kit. I am on the way back there right now to put the new heat kit in. And guys, I looked at the weather. Tomorrow is going to be 1 degree at night. I was telling someone this yesterday, guys. If it can stay 10 degrees in Pennsylvania for at least 4 months a year, I feel like we'll all be millionaires. But guys, I'm almost here right now. I'll see y'all when I get inside. Guys, I'm getting everything I need. And I got to do the 4-block walk. And right now, we're in Delaware. I think this is Wilmington. Guys, we come out to Wilmington like a handful of times a year. I mean, more so for brand new customers. We don't have any maintenance agreement customers this far out. But, I mean, we do work out here from time to time. I want to say the downside of working in Wilmington is parking. Like, especially right now with the snow on the ground. I mean, that's one thing I'll give Center City, Philadelphia. Of course, parking is a mofo, but I'd rather pay my $20 down the street in a parking lot or a parking garage. And I mean, they have a lot of convenient parking garages inside and outside, but out here, guys, you got to get in where you can. But guys, what I'm going to do is let me get everything I need so I don't have to come back to this truck. I got my thermometer. All right, guys, let me get everything I need. I'll see you in the basement. All right, guys, this is plug and play. Got my new heat kit right there. Let's take this out. I'll be right back. All right, guys. This is what we should have had the first time. I'm gonna put the door back on in 1 second. I'm just testing the amps. And to each his own, guys. I know a few of you guys was like, why not try to replace the limit switches or the contactor? Guys, the defining fact that we know is that the system is less than a year old. Do I want to start repairing things on this electric heat kit? I really didn't trust this electric heat kit. The fact that it's less than 1 year old and we're getting power. I was getting power to the low side of this electric heat kit and it still wasn't working. But guys, putting 2 and 2 together, I mean, to each his own. If you guys want to repair electric heat kits, have at it. But due to liability reasons, and being that replacing a whole electric heat kit takes less than 2 seconds to do, I don't see anything wrong if you can confirm that it's getting power and it's not drawing amps and it's calling for heat to turn on. I don't see why you shouldn't just start with a new electric heat kit. But guys, what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this thing run for a few minutes before I put the door on. I'll be right back, guys. We're in triple digits. Everything's heating up. And I got a clean filter in the unit. My suction line is warm, so presumably I know my heat pump is turning on outside. And I wanted to wait until I come back today. And I wanted to wait until everything fires up for me to explain this to you guys. Your electric heat kit, which is your backup heat or auxiliary heat, is meant to work in tandem with your heat pump outside. Can one work independently from each other? Yes, but that's not how the system is designed from the manufacturer. Now, like I mentioned yesterday, the last time I was here, if your electric heat ran without the heat pump, the customer still would have heat, but their electric bills would be extremely high because running electric 24/7, especially once the weather drops in the single digits, this is going to be very expensive. It's way cheaper to run the heat pump. However, one thing I mentioned 1,000,001 times, making 1,000,002, if the heat pump runs by itself, that's not going to be enough to constantly heat the house because that heat pump has to turn off on defrost. And you've seen yesterday when we had a warm suction line, I wasn't getting higher than 70 degrees coming out the vents. Everything is properly sized. However, this heat pump is meant to work in tandem with a backup heat because even upstairs at the thermostat, yesterday the thermostat was calling for auxiliary heat and I wasn't getting any amps. So guys, this was a dead giveaway. Another backstory here, back in my cowboy days, I did replace a sequencer Not on this newer Goodman air handler. This had to be like a 20 or 25-year-old. Let me turn my headlight off here, hold on. This had to be a 20 or 25-year-old air handler. But make a long story short, guys, the limit switch or the sequencer, one or the other, was burnt up. Now, this was an obvious sign when we diagnosed the issue, but I found the part number on the limit switch. I put a limit switch in. The electric heat kit worked, but within 2 weeks, the customer called me back and said that it's doing the same thing. Now, that was my personal lesson to know not to repair electric heat kits. Now, the fact that she know that she had multiple issues here before, I didn't trust this. As long as I'm getting power, once again, and I went through my progressions, I knew that the issue lied within the circuit. Something was open. It's either one or two scenarios. Either this electric heat kit is going to get power, and if the thermostat calls, it's not going to run. If that's the case, something is open in the circuit. Or two, if the coils are touching metal, this electric heat kit could short out and trip the breaker. Now, and the third scenario is everything is working fine like now. But guys, I mean, the more you deal with this, it gets way easier to diagnose. You know, don't look at all this together and make it more than what it is. Sure, first, I don't care if this is a circuit board, this is an aquastat, this is a furnace, whatever the case is, make sure you guys can confirm that whatever you think is not turning on, make sure you know that it's getting power. If I didn't know how to check for power at this electric heat kit and I just started to randomly assume, that would make me a parts changer. Do not be a parts changer. Do not be a sleazeball, guys. I repeat, make sure you follow proper troubleshooting protocols and make sure you can confirm power is getting to said component before you start recommending replacing or repairing anything, guys. Capiche? All right. Now let me pack up here and I gotta do the paperwork here. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn the thermostat off and on a few times. I wanna make sure that everything cycles off and on normally. And when I seen this yesterday, I thought that this was a simple no heat call. I thought that this condensate pump was unplugged and it had safety wires. But for one, this unit doesn't produce condensate in the winter, but the condensate pump is indeed plugged in. I don't know what this is, but yeah, guys, that's another thing I failed to mention yesterday. You want to make sure you can eliminate any external safeties. Like that can be either the thermostat not being programmed correctly or any external safeties, whether it be a flow protection, limit error, whatever the case is, guys. You want to rule out each and every single safety before you start troubleshooting internally. So start externally first. The most obvious things you can find that could potentially cause a break in power. Once you eliminate everything externally, that's when you work your way inside. But looking here, it looks like we had a gas furnace here before and they just went electric. Got a gas line here. All right, guys, I gotta do the paperwork. I gotta pack up. I'll definitely recommend maintenance here. I know my suction line was warm, but that heat pump outside, we wanna recommend keeping everything as clean as possible. But yeah, guys, there you have it. Part 2 of a heat pump not working. We found this electric heat kit getting power and it's calling. R to W1 was closed and R to W2 was closed, even though I didn't have a wire on W2. Remember yesterday, I thought I had to put a jumper in between W1 and W2. Technically, W1 and W2 is for multi-stages. What that means is, in a nutshell, if you have a thermostat for second and third stage heating, you could turn this 10 kW heater on in stages. So instead of W1 getting power first, W2 will get power first, and it will only turn on both stages. I'm talking the thermostat. The thermostat will only turn on both stages if the demand for heat is immediate, meaning if the temperature isn't going up high enough, it's going to say, wait a minute, W1 is not heating the house up enough on auxiliary heat, let's turn on W2. So that's an efficiency function. I know with certain manufacturers, they recommend you putting a jumper in between it. Sometimes there's already one on there, but in this case, guys, I didn't have to use a jumper because I tested for voltage between R and W2 and I got 0 volts. That told me that the thermostat was calling for both to turn on, so there was no need to do any jumpers there. But all right, guys, that's enough yapping in the trap. I gotta get going here. Peace out. I'll see you guys on the next one.